Hello there everyone. Today I want to show you how to make this Aztec wire weave, and it looks like this. So it's a really nice and decorative weave. It's pretty simple to do once you know the technique. You get these little triangles or pyramids going all the way across. So if you want to learn how to make this weave, then stay tuned. So to make this weave, what we'll need first of all is our base wires, and in this case I'm working with 4 lengths and they're all 1 mil in thickness. Now you can easily work with more than this, have more base wires or less, that's completely up to you. This is just to show the technique, and it's going to be the exact same technique no matter how many base wires you have. And then as for the weaving wire here, I'm using a 0.4 mil in thickness, and this is what we're going to use to make the actual weave wrapping around the base wires. So to start out, what we need to do is get 1 base wire first here, and then we just need to attach the weaving wire to this to begin with. So I'm just going to go behind here, take my weaving wire behind the base wire, just leave a little bit of a tail to help hold on to, and then I'm just going to wrap around my base wire with my weaving wire just about twice or 3 times. And just making sure that the wraps here, so the coils that we're doing, are nice and tight. You can always take some pliers, just go in and squeeze them together, that's going to help as well. So now this weaving wire is attached to the base wire. So now to start the actual weave, what we need to do is grab another of our base wires, and then I'm going to put this above the previous one and also on top of that tail that we have. So it lies like this. So your base wires are right next to each other. And then what we need to do now is wrap around both of these together. So I'm coming from underneath again, technically in between the 2 wires, wrapping around from the bottom, going around the top of both of them, and then down the back again. And then we need to do this twice. So once more, around both of them completely, all the way to the back again. So I've now wrapped around both wires here twice. Now what you can also do is you can do it 3 times, that's completely up to you. It's going to be the same technique however many times you want to wrap around both wires there. But I'm just going to be doing it twice around each. So now that we've done those wraps, we're done wrapping around these 2 wires together. What we need to do is make sure this wire comes up and to get ready for the next wrap. So what we need to do now is come up in between the 2 wires. So it's coming from the back and then up in between, and then push it down, making sure every time you make a wrap, push it down so your weave becomes nice and tight. And then before we do anything else, we need to add in our next base wire. So again, put it above the others and on top of your tail there. So now we need to wrap around the top 2 base wires the same way that we just did with the 2 wires we just wrapped together. So we just go around the top again, around the back, and then come up in between the 2 wires that you just came up in between to begin with. So up in between the bottom one and the middle one, to just wrap around those top 2 wires now on their own, and do it again to get twice. And if you're doing 3 wraps instead of 2, you want to do it 1 more time. So that's now 2 full wraps on those. So again, to get ready for the next one, I need to come up in between the 2 that I just wrapped around together. So I'll come up in between the 2 top ones and then push it down. So now my weaving wire is ready to go for the next wrap. And then this is where I'm going to bring in my last base wire. Again, place it above the others and on top of your tail, on top of your weaving wire, just like that. And then we again need to wrap around these top 2 ones now on their own. So we're making steps going upwards. So wrap around those top 2, go around the back, up in between the 2 that you just came up in between already, so you're only wrapping around those top 2. Squeeze it down, and once more coming all the way around the back to wrap around 2 full times there. Now I've just used my last base wire there, but if you have more than me, what you just need to do is continue doing this until you used all your base wires, and then once you've done that, you reach the same point that I'm going to do now, we need to move back down again. So basically we're making little steps to reach all the way to the top wire that we're going to use. So now we need to make steps to go back down again. We're going to end up forming a little triangle there. So again, we want to do the same thing. We'll wrap around 2 wires at a time, twice. So basically replicate the same pattern there. But the difference there is now that we have to move downwards is how many wires we cross around the back. Because if we're going to continue moving upwards now, we're going to come in between the 2 wires that we just wrapped around, because we have to go back down, we don't do that now. We basically need to come behind 3 wires, because if you have a look, the 2 wires that we need to wrap now together, in my case, are the 2 middle ones. That means we need to come below those 2. So I actually need to come up in between the bottom 2 wires there. So I'm going behind 3 wires to come up there, and then wrap around just those 2. So again, push it tight, and then again up in between the bottom 2 to only wrap around the middle 2 there, to basically get the same step equivalent to the other side. And then to do the last step, we again need to come behind 3 wires and come all the way to the bottom now. It's the same principle if you have more base wires. You just have to go behind 3 wires every time and then come up below the 2 that you need to wrap next. So I'll come up, in my case at the bottom here, and then go down. And then basically what you do is go down in between the 2 wires that you wrapped previously. Again, do that twice. In my case, 3 if you're using 3 wraps. Just like this. And then there we have the very first step. So we now have one full complete triangle there. So we need to start the next one. So we just want to basically repeat the very beginning again. We need to move back upwards to create the next triangle. So to go upwards, if you remember, we just go behind 1 wire, come up in between the 2 that you just wrapped, to get ready to wrap around the next 2, in my case the 2 middle ones there, and do that twice. Make sure they're nice and tight, just like that. And then now to get ready for the next one, come up in between the 2 that you just wrapped, and then do 2 wraps around those, just like this, around twice. And now I'm at the top, so we need to move back down again, just like before. So this is where we need to go behind 3 wires to come below, just below the 2 that we need to wrap now, in my case the 2 middle ones. So wrap around twice for them 2 again. Always making sure to squeeze or push down your weave when you make one, so it becomes nice and tight and even. Wrap around twice for those 2 middle wires. Reach back down to the bottom again to make that very last step for this triangle, or pyramid almost. So take this all the way to the bottom, go behind 3 wires and come up, and then go down in between the 2 that I just wrapped to make that very last step, and do that twice as well. And then we've now made another triangle. So this is how it's going to start to form, and you can slowly start to see triangle after triangle. So that's how you make this. You just want to continue to do this however you want it to be, however long you need this weave to go. So I've now continued the weave here just to show you what it looks like. So it can end up like this. And then what you'll find as well when you're doing this weave, both sides actually aren't the same. So there's kind of a front and a back to this. It doesn't mean you can't use the back if that's what you want to. But this is the front where we weave the way that we did. So every wrap here is twice around 2 wires, twice around 2 wires. What you'll find on the back is that some places, because we took the weaving wire behind 3 of our base wires, so you can actually see that on the back. Obviously only if you look closely, but you do get the same effect regardless. So it's up to you which side you want to use. But then otherwise, that's how you make this weave. It's really nice and elegant and pretty simple as well. This is even nice as a bracelet on its own. It could be a really nice bracelet, quite a simple one, but it's a nice decorative weave this. So I really hope that you enjoyed this tutorial, and thank you very much for watching. Hello there everyone. Today I want to show you how to make this snake weave with your wire, and it looks like this. So this is the effect that you can get. It's quite nice, and it grows quite quickly, and using your 3 base wires there to achieve this look. So if you want to learn how to make this, then keep watching. So for this weave, what we're going to use is 3 base wires, and I'm just using my 1mm wire here. So we have the 3 lengths, and then I'm